Have you ever wanted to be a songwriter but didn't know where to start? If you want to know how I wrote 100 songs, please stay tuned. Let's last the whole computer. Starting starting off with a blooper. That's not good. All right. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to introduce you to the 90 song in 30-day challenge. And the reason I want to introduce this is because for me, it really changed my life as a songwriter. And I was told that it would change my life, and the person that told me this was correct. So if you want to know more about how to do this challenge yourself, or you want to learn more or hear about my experience, stay tuned. What is the background on my songwriting journey? Well, before I took on the songwriting challenge to write 90 songs in 30 days, it started with I had just started playing ukulele, and I was just sitting outside playing the ukulele without any music in front of me. And I just looked out at nature and I decided, let me just write a song. And so I just played around with some chords and threw some words in there. And so I just kind of naturally came to creating songs. And while I started with that, I hadn't really written anything down. I started writing down the songs with chords and some words. Then I started practicing them. I started making them a bit longer than just a chorus. And, I just kept going and I recorded myself, which was pretty humbling, to be honest. I cannot sing very well. And I just didn't want to give up. I just said, well, I can learn to sing. I just need to keep going. I see the sun in your eyes. After about 3 months of songwriting, I recorded several songs and I put them up on SoundCloud. It's hard to share your music with others and get that feedback. And, uh, you got to start somewhere, is kind of how I look at it. And when I look back on it now, I think, what was I thinking? I'll try something new, I'll give it a try. And if I make mistakes, I'll learn from them. And so at that point, after the 3 months, I wasn't really satisfied with the progress that I was making. And I thought maybe I needed some professional help. So one of the reasons I decided to get some help, some songwriting help from Adam Holmes, was that I really enjoyed his ability to just pick up a guitar and sing in front of others live without a lot of processing of voice or processing of guitar. It would just seem like a more natural approach to music, and I really appreciated that. And that was, at that point in time, the type of style that I was kind of going for, just being able to pick up a ukulele or a guitar and just play for others. And so, yeah, so that's where this started. I reached out to Adam Holmes, and he has been coaching me over these last months. The first thing that he asked me about and raised to me in our first meeting was, have you ever thought about doing a song challenge where you write 90 songs in 30 days? And at first I thought, this sounds insane, but maybe I'm just crazy enough to go along with the idea. I ended up taking on this challenge. The next thing I want to talk about is how the challenge went for me. And writing 3 songs a day, every day, 20 minutes per song, it's a lot. And I wrote the chords, I captured the lyrics, I recorded them in GarageBand, but really every day I was having to come up with new ideas for songs. In the first few days, it wasn't so bad. Well, actually, it was relatively easy in those first days. And then by the end of week 3, I started to get a little more challenged. I actually started to lose my voice because I was experimenting with going too high and maybe too low with my voice more than I was used to. And that sort of caught me off guard because I thought, how am I going to sing songs when I don't have a voice? So I had to take it easy for a few days. So I hummed some songs, I wrote some lyrics, and then put melody to it a little bit later, made some adjustments over that couple of day period. I really couldn't sing very much. And then after a few days of giving my voice rest, I was back at it. And then I continued. And in the last few days, that was probably the hardest. The last 3 days of the challenge, I just had to really dig deep and push through to finish. So I think it really says something, that 30 days mark. It is hard. It's like running a marathon, but for songwriting. I thought since I was sharing my song challenge, I would share a few recordings, original recordings from my challenge, some good and not some not so good. So I'll play those now. Friday is the right day, no more work today. Put your feet up now and walk in the park before it gets dark. I like a walk in the park, it triggers a spark. So what did you think about those? Pretty interesting, I'm guessing. But I wanted to share it so you can hear what it's like when you have to put those first songs in place. You have to sing it, you have to record it, and capture it so that you can have something good for the next time that you want to put together a song. So the next thing I want to talk about is the value of this torture. And it wasn't really that much of a torture for me, but it definitely was hard and it definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I just wanted to talk through the 5 things that I really walked away with. So the first thing was confidence. I showed that I can write songs and that it was just not some fluke. I have a process. And now I feel like I believe in myself as a songwriter. I can do it. The second thing is ideas. I got a lot of ideas. I experimented with a lot of different ways of writing songs. And I've heard that you have to write a lot of bad songs to get a good song. So the ability to generate a lot of ideas is really valuable. And in this case, I had 90 song ideas, even if only a few of them were going to be good. The third thing was the process for writing songs. I felt like I had a bit of a process when I started, and by the end, I had a very clear way to write songs. And by the end, I was writing songs in 10 or 15 minutes and recording them and moving on to the next one. So I think being able to not hang on to questioning your ideas too much in the beginning really helped generating all those ideas through this process. 4 is the results. Okay, so I have 90 song ideas. What am I going to do with that? Well, I ended up, even before I got to the end of the challenge, I would go back and listen to some of my recordings that I thought had good promise for a longer song. And I put those into an MP3 file and I would listen to them and listen to them and listen to them over and over to kind of assess which ones I thought were the best. And I ended up with 6 songs that I used to create an EP that I released in January. So all of this hard work, I was quickly able to finish those songs, record them, and then get them released. There definitely is an end result to that. And even though I mentioned the 6 songs from the EP, I have several others that haven't been finished, and I still can go back to that 90 songs to see if there's anything else that I think is interesting or that I want to take forward. One of the things I also discovered was that as you're assessing how the songs sound, I discovered that some songs I could combine and put together. So I did that as well. So great end game if you want to write an album. Take 30 days, get a bunch of ideas, and then finish the songs, and you're done. The 5th thing is credibility. having written 90 songs plus the 20 that I had written prior to that, and then I continue to write songs every single day, it shows that I can do this process and I have experience. And so that was the fifth thing that I gained out of this process. The thing that I want to ask to you, or the challenge I want to ask you to consider taking on, is if you're really serious about songwriting, you need to contemplate whether you should do this type of challenge or not. It changed my life as a songwriter, and it changed the way that I look at songwriting. I My perspective is different because I look at it from creating songs from an emotional standpoint and less about musical theory. So that's another thing to think about as you consider going forward with a challenge. I hope that you enjoyed what I shared with you about learning to do a song challenge like this and the experience that I got. And I hope you'll subscribe to this channel for more content similar to this. And I hope to see you next time.